During a massage therapy session, what I saw in those 11 minutes was far beyond anything I could have imagined. Jesus met me there. He didn't just show me the afterlife. He showed me how our entire lives are orchestrated more precisely than we think. What he told me about control changed me forever. I had no idea that a simple spa visit would lead me into eternity. That day, January 7th, 2025, I'd scheduled a massage to decompress from holiday stress. I wasn't sick. I wasn't weak. I had no idea my body had developed a severe allergy to a new oil they were using, an essential oil blend they had just introduced. The therapist rubbed it onto my shoulders, and within minutes, I felt something strange happen in my chest. My breathing became shallow. My lips tingled. Then came the darkness. Except it wasn't darkness like closing your eyes. It was something else. Something sacred. A beginning. I remember slumping forward and the therapist calling my name. Danielle, Danielle, are you okay? Everything became echoey. The sound of her voice stretched like taffy, slow and distorted. Then I felt my body fall, but oddly, I didn't feel pain. I just left. My consciousness slipped out like fog leaving a bottle. It was the last ordinary moment of my life. The strange thing about death is that you don't immediately know it's happened. At first, I thought I had simply passed out, but then I noticed I was standing, or rather, floating, just above the massage table. I could see my body lying there, face pale, eyes half open. The therapist had backed away in shock, and someone from the hallway was rushing in with a phone in hand, yelling, "Call 911." None of it scared me. There was no panic, no resistance. It was like I had simply unzipped myself from my skin. What happened next caught me off guard. The air around me began to shimmer like heat rising off asphalt. I could feel vibrations, not sound but sensation. The walls of the room started to dissolve into light. I wasn't going up or out. I was going inward, as if I was being drawn through the folds of something cosmic, ancient, and intelligent. Then I felt it, a pull like gravity but deeper. Not physical, spiritual. And I knew without knowing I was going somewhere that mattered. There was no fear, only wonder. I could see my body from above, but I didn't feel sad about it. It felt like a vehicle I'd parked for the last time. I hovered, watching the EMTs begin CPR, and I remember thinking, they're trying so hard. They don't even know I'm already gone. I felt drawn upward, but there was no sky. It was more like the air itself had become a moving river. I floated into it effortlessly, like being carried on a current made of memory, emotion, and consciousness. Here's where things started to get strange. As I moved, I started hearing thoughts, not mine, everyone's. I could hear my husband praying at work. I could feel my daughter's sudden anxiety in school, even though she didn't know why. I even felt the prayer of a stranger, an elderly woman on a bus whispering, "Lord, help whoever needs you right now." I was connected to all of it. I was part of it. And then the light appeared. Not like a flashlight or a beam. This light was alive, conscious, powerful. It knew me. The light didn't just shine, it called. It didn't use words. It used knowing. And the moment I responded, just by being willing, I was pulled into it like a wave, pulling you back out to sea. I expected heaven to be like clouds and gold gates, but that's not what I saw. I crossed into what I now understand as the center of knowing. It was a realm beyond emotion, beyond words, beyond thought. I wasn't just feeling peace. I had become peace. I wasn't just surrounded by love. I was love. And I wasn't alone. Forms of light began appearing, not human, not angelic in the way we picture, but pure, intelligent, radiating joy. One of them turned to me, though it had no face, and projected a single idea straight into me. "You've arrived early, but there's purpose in the visit." Then I saw him. No introduction needed. Jesus. He didn't walk up. He became present, like tuning a radio and suddenly hearing the perfect frequency. I knew I had stepped into the real world, and everything before had been a shadow. He said nothing at first, just looked into me, through me, and every broken thing I had buried, every lie I told myself, every secret I thought made me unworthy, was met with love so pure I couldn't stand under it. But he lifted me. When he finally spoke, the first words were, "Let me show you how your life has been guided." You always hear people talk about the tunnel when they describe near-death experiences. But what I entered wasn't just a tunnel. It was a living symphony. I was being pulled gently but irresistibly through what felt like currents of music, color, and memory. Each layer I passed vibrated with different emotions. Some felt like deep grief. Others felt like pure joy. I wasn't moving through space. I was moving through frequency. I was being tuned, adjusted, like a radio being dialed to the exact spiritual channel I belonged to. And the strangest part, I could feel other souls just like mine, moving alongside me in their own tunnels. It wasn't scary. It was intimate, like we were all being carried to the place where our next assignment would begin. Then something remarkable happened. I passed through a layer that radiated pure peace. The sound in that space, it wasn't like anything I've ever heard. Not music, not singing, but more like truth echoing, a vibration that knew me and held me with tenderness. I remember thinking, this place loves me. That's when I realized this tunnel wasn't taking me somewhere. It was preparing me. Every time I passed through a layer, a piece of earthly fear dissolved. Doubt left. Shame melted. I was being stripped down, not in a violent way, but like removing old heavy clothes you didn't realize you'd been wearing your whole life. And at the end of this tunnel, something waited. Someone. The end of the tunnel wasn't a wall or a doorway. It was a veil, thin, radiant, and almost conscious. As I approached it, I instinctively knew I couldn't carry anything false through it. Every lie I told myself, every mask I wore in life, they couldn't pass. But I wasn't scared. This veil wasn't a punishment. It was a filter. The energy it gave off was like pure stillness, but alert, as if it was waiting for me to decide. I paused, and in that pause, I saw everything I'd been afraid to face. The times. I didn't forgive just the times I judged, but also the times I loved. The moments I kept going even when no one noticed. The veil responded not to perfection, but to honesty. And in that moment of pure surrender, I passed through effortlessly. I wish I could describe what it felt like on the other side. Time didn't exist. Light wasn't directional, it was everywhere. But this wasn't just light, it was awareness. The air had intention. The ground hummed with love. Then I felt it, a presence. He didn't descend from a sky or ride in on clouds. He just was Jesus. I didn't see a man in robes. I saw a being composed of love, and yet I knew, unmistakably, it was him. The moment I realized who it was, my spirit wept, not from fear, but from being so deeply known. Jesus didn't speak with words like we do. He didn't move his lips. His thoughts poured into mine like a river into an empty cup. The first thing he said broke me. You never had to try so hard to be loved. I floated, if that's even the word, through what I now call the realm of thought. It was like standing inside a divine mind. Every question I'd buried, every fear I'd harbored was there visible. And Jesus walked with me through them all. Not as a judge, but as a teacher who had never once turned away. I was shown that my thoughts weren't just internal ideas, they were forces. Every negative belief I had about myself created shadows, but every act of forgiveness lit those shadows with light. He told me, what you think, you become. What you believe, you build. It was so clear here. Our minds don't die. They expand. Each thought we carry holds spiritual weight. I saw how my own thoughts had imprisoned me. I believed I wasn't enough, smart enough, strong enough, good enough. Jesus placed his hand over my spirit and whispered, those were never yours to carry. And they vanished. I understood now. This realm is where souls come to remember who they are, who they've always been, and what they're meant to become. Then Jesus guided me to a place that wasn't a room, but an open expanse of intelligence. Floating around us were glowing books, millions of them. Some bright, some dim, others pulsing like a heartbeat. This is where life plans are kept, he said. Each book was a soul's blueprint, not a script, but a map. Maps full of paths. You can't walk them all, but you're nudged toward the ones meant for your highest growth. He handed me one. I knew instantly it was mine. When I opened it, scenes from my life unfolded around us in radiant light. My birth, my first heartbreak, even a small kindness I'd shown a stranger. He even showed me moments I hadn't yet lived, not in detail, but in energy. paths I might still walk. Free will is real, he said, but so is destiny. You chose this journey with me before you were born. It clicked. Life isn't punishment, it's partnership. We didn't come here to be perfect. We came to remember our light through darkness, to create in chaos, to choose love again and again. I felt no fear, only awe. My life wasn't random. It was sacred. Then I met another presence, not a man or being, but something beyond definition. An ancient intelligence woven from golden light. We didn't speak with words. We just understood. This was the architect, the one who shaped soul blueprints and destiny in ways no language can express. It wasn't God, but it was of God, a divine emissary. He showed me something astonishing, my pre-incarnation agreements. You chose more than you remember, he said. Then I saw a spiraling map of memories I hadn't yet made. I saw events I had thought were coincidences, surviving a car accident at 17, attending a college I never applied to, a miscarriage I never understood. These were scheduled, he said. You and your spiritual council agreed to these points. Earth wasn't punishment. It was permission to rise, to fall, and to remember who I truly am. I was overwhelmed. But what about the pain? I asked. Without words, he showed me something that made my soul weep. Pain had ripple effects, fractal patterns of growth. Every heartbreak had birthed a branch. Every failure had rooted something deeper. The deeper the roots, the higher the bloom, he revealed. And then I felt Jesus again. The atmosphere changed. Love, endless and knowing, flooded the space. Jesus arrived. I didn't fall to my knees, because I had none, but I would have. He wasn't just light or a man. He was all things at once, like standing before a galaxy, but being completely seen, completely loved. Isabella, he said, my name, spoken not in sound, but in essence. In that name was my entire life, my shame, joy, secrets, dreams. He didn't judge me. He understood me completely. You are exactly where I needed you to be, he told me. I wept. I didn't do enough. I wasted so much time. Jesus smiled, not with pity, but kindness. You're measuring your impact with the wrong scale, he said. Then he showed me forgotten moments, smiling at a stranger, forgiving in silence, choosing peace over revenge. These moments had shifted things in the unseen world. I had done more than I realized. He embraced me, not physically, but with energy. And I knew this wasn't a dream. It was real, more real than earth. Jesus began showing me scenes, fragments of my life I'd thought were mistakes or coincidences, but each glowed with purpose. A missed flight had saved me. A broken friendship had shielded me. A failed business had redirected me to work that healed others. Nothing is random, he said, but everything depends on your response. I saw it clearly. Life is full of setups, like spiritual dominoes. Whether they fall depends on our choices. We're not puppets, we're co-authors. You were given freedom within a framework, he explained. When you forgot, I sent reminders, dreams, signs, whispers, even heartbreak. I asked about people who suffer deeply. Are they being punished? His face turned solemn. No, he said, but some souls come here with very hard missions. Some come to break cycles. Some come to carry light into darkness. Earth is the most challenging realm in creation, and the most rewarding. Then he showed me my timeline again. This time, I saw the detours, moments when fear overrode intuition. And still, Jesus worked around them. He redirected, rebuilt, reoffered. No one falls too far that I cannot restore them, he said. All along, I had thought I was driving alone. But Jesus was there, guiding like a GPS, recalculating every wrong turn. Then he showed me something even more shocking. I was suddenly hovering above the earth, not physically, but spiritually. What I saw looked like a massive energetic grid, surrounding the planet. It pulsed and shimmered. This, he said, is the grid of consciousness. It connects everything, people, thoughts, timelines. Each person had a thread. Some were dim and tangled, others bright and fluid. The difference? Awareness. Most people were trapped in emotional cycles, unconscious and repeating. Then I saw darker areas, blocked, diseased. Black energy, thick and suffocating. These are systems of manipulation, he said. Addiction, greed, hatred, fear. These forces feed on spiritual blindness. I saw how humanity was influenced by both spiritual and human sources. Advertising, media, technology. None of it was neutral. It was programming people into despair. Free will exists, Jesus said, but many live hypnotized. Then he showed me the power of one awakened soul. When someone became conscious, when they chose truth, love, and faith over fear, they lit up the grid like a flare. Their energy burned through the fog. Their light didn't just free them, it freed others. He said it weakens the illusion for everyone. That's when I realized we are not just living lives. We are participating in a spiritual war for awareness. Jesus led me through what felt like a gallery of thought. Yes, thought. It was a space where every human thought, past and present, was visible in form. As we entered, I saw streams of energy flowing through the air like threads, each one glowing or dim, depending on its nature. Some were twisted and chaotic. Those I sensed came from fear or hatred. Others shimmered with golden harmony. Those came from love, kindness, and faith. Then Jesus said something that shook me. Every thought creates structure. Thought is not just private reflection. It is construction in the spiritual world. And he showed me. He pointed to a woman sitting in a hospital room on earth, praying silently while her husband slept post-surgery. Her thoughts of hope and healing were forming a warm golden lattice of light around him, real light. Angels were weaving that light into his spiritual body, helping his cells remember wholeness. The doctors didn't know it, but her thoughts were medicine. Then he showed me a man scrolling on his phone, consumed with jealousy and insecurity. His thoughts were creating a swarm of dark, sticky matter that clung to his field. I saw how it invited negative entities, beings drawn to dense energy, to latch on. I stood frozen. I never realized how powerful our inner life is. It's not invisible here, it's architecture. It's action. Every thought is a vibration, and vibrations shape outcomes. They attract experiences. They teach. They repeat until we wake up. Jesus looked at me again and said, "You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are thinking over and over again." And that's when it hit me. My own life flashed with clarity. I had spent years thinking I was powerless, and in doing so, I created powerlessness. The system didn't punish me. It responded to me like a mirror. We shape reality not just with our hands, but with our minds. Your soul made promises, Jesus said. He brought me into a vast chamber filled with scrolls, not parchment, but floating strands of DNA like light. Each scroll was a contract made before birth. I looked closer and gasped. One of them was mine. I reached toward it, and the moment I touched it, memories that I'd never had in this life surged through me. It wasn't déjà vu, it was pre-life knowledge. I saw myself as a soul sitting with guides and elders, mapping out a human experience, picking Earth, choosing parents, even choosing trials. And it wasn't forced, it was all agreed. The contracts weren't about suffering. They were about growth. One clause in mine read something like, "We'll meet betrayal in third decade to learn unconditional forgiveness." I realized it was referring to the relationship that had crushed me in my 30s. I thought I'd been cursed, but I had signed up for it, and I survived it, and I had become stronger. Another clause read, "We'll experience silence of God to remember faith, not built on emotion." I wept. I had begged God during those silent years. I thought I'd been abandoned, but I had asked for that silence to remember the truth beyond feelings. God had never left. He was honoring the agreement. Jesus then turned to me and said, "Many cry out thinking I have forsaken them, not realizing they are in the middle of a contract they chose to grow through. Not everything is fated, but the pivotal moments, the crossroads, are woven in. We are not puppets, but we are partners in a divine choreography. Even our delays, he showed me, are written with mercy. Prayer is not begging," Jesus said. "It is activating alignment." He waved his hand, and I saw what prayer really looks like from this dimension. Every time someone prays sincerely, whether with words, thoughts, or tears, a ripple of light bursts outward from them. The ripple travels through realms. It affects matter. It moves spiritual currents. And above all, it connects. Some prayers look like beams, focused, steady, sharp. Others were chaotic, half-hearted, distracted. But even those had some impact. No prayer goes completely unanswered. It's just that the effectiveness depends on the alignment behind it. Then he showed me prayers that were never spoken aloud, just held inside like a whisper. These had tremendous power because they were forged in the furnace of pain. They were raw, real. Heaven responds to that kind of vulnerability. Jesus then revealed something that overwhelmed me. I saw angels positioned around earth, not floating randomly, but stationed like divine responders. Their movement was activated by prayer. Some stood still for years, waiting for a command from a human's heart. Others moved swiftly across continents, drawn by a single desperate plea. Help me. Then he told me, the problem is not that prayer is weak. It's that my people have forgotten how much authority I've given them. We were never meant to pray like beggars. We were meant to pray like sons and daughters. I saw intercessors, grandmothers, prisoners, children, changing the trajectory of nations with whispered prayers. Their names unknown on earth, but blazing like stars in the heavens. When you pray, you're not talking to the air. You're issuing a spiritual protocol, a frequency, a law, and that law travels beyond dimensions. Jesus leaned close and said, the enemy fears one thing above all else, a human being who knows how to pray with faith and identity. I will never pray the same again. Jesus turned toward me, and for a moment I saw Earth through his eyes. But it wasn't just a planet. It was a network, a simulation, a training field for souls. I saw people walking streets, working, sleeping, but many of them were dim. Not evil, just asleep. Their light had dimmed under layers of distraction, fear, and forgetfulness. And then he said something that stunned me. Most live in loops, not lives. He showed me how these loops form. A child feels